Did Meghan Markle decide to quit the British royal family at a couple of pivotal moments? Hi, good morning, Neil Sean here in the heart of London. That is, of course, the story breaking out of London today. Now, let me tell you a bit of background to this particular story, simply because, of course, a lot of people speculate as to what made Harry and Meghan decide to Megxit. Was it all really him, or was it all really her? Now, sources close to the couple tell me that in fact it really was, well, ongoing and more or less started well before the wedding. Now, you will recall, of course, that when Harry and Meghan got together, he decided to take Meghan on a tour of the United Kingdom for her to be met by, of course, the British public. And that particular tour was deemed a huge success. So huge, in fact, that they even visited their namesakes, Sussex, only once though. A lot of people, of course, will remember that slightly edgy visit to the radio station in Brixton, which proved that this new, fresh royal couple planned to do things rather differently. But here's where it gets really interesting, because according to good sources, Meghan was already kind of confused about what the role was. She didn't understand the fact that part of the job is simply dressing up, climbing out of a car, meeting and greeting your royal subjects, and more importantly, lending your name, time, and more importantly, enthusiasm to that registered charity. That is the role of the royal. That's why we love them so much, simply because, of course, just being attached to a charity can do so much for their cause. And the bigger problem for Meghan, of course, was that she didn't have a voice that could be heard. And if you recall also, she had to shut down all of her social media platforms to private. Now, this for her was very difficult because she'd been active. She'd had her own blog. She was able to put out there her thoughts and feelings. As, of course, the role progressed for Meghan, she realised that she couldn't become that subservient. But the problem then became Harry's problem, simply because he did try to explain that this was the role and this was what was expected. At that point, Meghan apparently decided that she couldn't live a life of quietness and certainly be trapped, as she called it, inside a castle. Now, while she enjoyed a brief spell of living at Kensington Palace, she felt apparently that being such close proximity to all of her brand new relatives wasn't really for her. So Prince Charles splashed out quite a lot of money to have, of course, Frogmore Cottage redecorated to her specifications. You have to feel sorry for Harry at this particular point, simply because he's a brand new husband trying to field his way into married life. Remember, Meghan had been married before, so she knew what to expect and, more importantly, what direction she wanted her life to take. Meghan realised rather quickly that there were two other people starring in this particular, well, show. And those two stars were, of course, William and Kate. Now, Kate, of course, has proved herself to be invaluable as a senior member to the British royal family. But more importantly, Meghan and Harry both realised that they could never eclipse this, no matter how popular they were. They then decided, of course, to try and do the half in, half out routine, and that didn't work either. So that was really the turning point for Harry and Meghan, when they decided that they wanted to do things their way and, more importantly, independently. And then they decided, of course, they had to make some money. And that was how really the deals between Apple TV and, more importantly, Oprah Winfrey, who they'd only briefly met, who attended their royal wedding, decided, of course, that they could do a deal. But as people who have worked with Oprah know, she demands a lot for her money. And Harpo Productions sat down and decided what story, what narrative could they put together as their truth. And that's the reason why Meghan and Harry decided to quit the British royal family for good. It all really stemmed from the fact that both of them realised they couldn't be major superstars within the family, simply because the British royal family already had two in waiting. Forget Her Majesty the Queen, who will always remain the supreme superstar, but waiting in the wings, past Prince Charles and Camilla, are, of course, William and Catherine. And for Meghan, that was really a very bitter pill to swallow, as she felt, of course, she was bringing something like a major celebrity to the brand new royal family. And for both Meghan and Harry, they realised rather quickly that it was game over. Neil Sean in the heart of London.